we got some pretty bad numbers for April, and we continued to see prices increase for a couple of reasons. One is you're seeing supply chain problems where due to a lack of workers in some cases, the problems with some of these pipelines and other kind of issues with respect to production have lowered the supply of some of the goods and services, especially things like gasoline. So where I live, we saw a huge spike in gasoline prices and shortages. And then you've got, the problem of the massive amount of national debt and the amount of money that is being printed in Washington and the amount of borrowing, which is in the multi-trillions of dollars. And, inflation is just too many dollars chasing too few goods. So when you have that kind of massive amount of unpaid for spending and having to run into the credit markets and issue bonds like that, a natural repercussion would be higher inflation and higher interest rates. And we're starting to see the inflation impact. We haven't seen interest rates really impacted heavily, but if the inflation continues, we will see interest rates follow. If we had, 10 or 11 more months of the kind of inflation numbers we saw in April, then yes, that would be on a compounded basis, that would be 8 or 9% inflation. I think we need to really worry about what happens with if inflation starts to rise and that affects interest rates and we don't do anything about it. And the big worry that I would have is, we're already seeing this inflation rate and 2 more $2 trillion spending bills he wants to do. Well, those would be, in my opinion, extremely inadvisable right now, given, that we're already seeing these smoke alarms of inflation. A month or two ago, he was saying, I don't see any signs of inflation. He was just wrong. Inflation, and then we saw this big inflation number. And, Americans could see it, right? They could see it at the grocery store. They could see it at the gas pump. They could see it, when they went to the hardware store and tried to buy lumber or try to buy an airline ticket. Now, I just checked this morning, the tickets, those prices are rising. So you're just seeing that happen throughout the economy. And the Fed has sounded a little out of touch. They're not really, I think, aligned with what's happening out in Main Street, USA. So I am a little nervous that Powell doesn't sound more resolute in attacking this inflation before it gets out of control. I think, a good deal of it, because I really think it's the inflation is really being driven by bad fiscal policy. Just a week or two ago announced we're going to give $3,000 per child for every family, just free money. Well, that sounds great. Americans love free money, but there is no such thing as free money. So if you're going to continue to just shower the economy with cheap money, then you're going to lower the value of every dollar out there. I mean, this is just math, right? And then that will mean that every dollar out there is worth less. One thing to remember about inflation is that inflation is a regressive tax on the lowest income people. So, a millionaire or billionaire doesn't really feel the effect of inflation. Somebody working on a $30,000 or $40,000 annual income, they really feel the impact of those higher prices on their real income.